Welcome to Jason's Jewels, the best sports show you've never heard of. I'm your host, Jason Alexander, and today we are finally going to have that conversation I've been dying to have. And the only person I can have these conversations with is live and direct today from Sports and Discourse. Ladies and gentlemen, I got Derek Stevenson, UK expert in the building. Derek, what is up?
Man, unfortunately, it is time to have this conversation. I appreciate you having me on the show.
Shit,
Man,
I'm glad you
it's
could come on.
man. Listen, it's been a rough last six months or so. I'll say, man.
Yeah. Yeah, shoot, yeah. And one of the one of the things I wanted to touch on was Mark Stoops. And the question I have is, was it time for him to go? Did we reach the point to where Mark Stoops had, I don't want to say worn out his welcome, but it just seemed like it come to me, it seemed like it come to a point to where the relationship needed to go their separate ways, man. Did you feel the same way? What are your thoughts on Mark Stoops and how he left at Kentucky?
Man, unfortunately, I feel like it was kind of similar to the Calipari situation. Like, I know he didn't have equal success as Calipari did, um, but I give him a little bit of a pass because he's in the SEC and he's in one of the least traditional schools in the SEC.
Mhm.
So I wasn't expecting him to do as well as I was Calipari, but I feel like they kind of the end of their careers here kind of mirrored each other. I feel like they had early success and everybody was in love with them, and they both Kentucky legends. Like they both deserve to be in the Kentucky Hall of Fame.
Mhm.
Um, but I feel like at the end, it was in fact time for both of them to go. I feel like if Stoops could have just maintained the program to like mid level, I think he would have been cool. But it got to a point where it was like pretty obvious that we were probably the weakest team in the SEC. Some other schools that was holding down that position like Vanderbilt and such, they actually improved their program a lot. So
Yeah.
it's like we didn't even have that one under our belt to know that okay, we at least we got Vandy. Uh, it was getting to a point where we was we was like going long stretches without winning SEC games. Couldn't win on the road, and it was just becoming tough to continue to be enthused about the program. This year, I worked. I worked most of the football games, and just interacting with the fans. Like it was like the diehard fans was showing up, but it was tough for them, man. They was disappointed. Um, they was going into the games feeling defeated, and even though, like I said, I think Stoops is a legend, think he should be in the Kentucky Hall of Fame, but I do think it was just time to give somebody else a chance because I feel like, um, from the outside looking in, like I don't know what was going on behind the scenes. I don't know if he was having issues with people or if there was like disagreements going on between like directors and other coaches and all of that. But just from the outside looking in, it just felt like we just needed a change in Kentucky football.
Right. I feel you. So that brings me to the next question I have, and you kind of touched on a little bit. Uh, what do you think the legacy of Mark Stoops is? I know you mentioned that you feel like he should be in the Hall of Fame, and quite frankly, I agree. In my lifetime, Mark Stoops has been the best coach that UK football has had, in my opinion. So you've already touched on it a little bit, but let's touch on his legacy a little bit. What are your thoughts on Mark Stoops' legacy? Do you think he's the best coach see the best football coach you've seen at UK in your lifetime? And
Yeah.
do you think that he'll get the same amount of respect from the bulk of UK fans that you are giving him?
Yeah, I think for the most part, most people, at least recently, would have to say he's the best we had. Like I said, he had a couple of years where we made we looked good. We was super competitive. The only thing that hurt was I felt like in football, man, you need at least if you're gonna be in the SEC, I feel like you need at least 2 to 3 quality players at each position, right? At least 2. And it just felt like we could never get enough on one team. Like we might have 11 like SEC starter quality guys throughout the whole entire team.
Right. I got you.
Maybe a little bit more, but we never really was like fully loaded, so to speak. So one year we might have like a strong defensive line, but we got a garbage offensive line. One year we might have a good offensive line, good running backs, no defensive backs. It's just like, and throughout his tenure, we sprinkled some guys in the pros. Uh we had a couple of top picks, you know what I'm saying? Like,
Mhm.
so we had some good players, but we could just never have enough on one team to really be competitive in the SEC. When you watch some of the top tier schools in college football, they just have 2 or 3 guys at each position, you know, and they usually always, SEC is usually you can always count on you gonna play a tough defense,
Mhm.
and you
Yeah.
and the better schools usually have a solid quarterback, and we never really had a top tier quarterback. We had a couple of dudes that was decent, but we never had like a. I think was looking at some stats where they said we haven't had a 30 touchdown quarterback or a 3,000-yard passing quarterback in so many years. We was like the
Hmm.
only SE school in a certain amount of years that haven't had that. The only SEC school.
Huh. Well, I never
So
would have thought that.
yeah, so although I do think he's a legend. I do think he's the best that we've seen, and I think he has some solid years. He has some good enough years to have us optimistic the season after. And then
Right,
some
right,
some
right.
things might fall apart. But at one point, and for some reason, I don't know what it was. I don't know if he knew something that I didn't know, but he was always really competitive against Georgia.
Yeah.
Um, so we
Even
had
this year.
yeah, we had moments where it was like we had a lot of games uh that was in our grasp, like Texas, you know what I'm saying, this year. We had some moments, and he did enough to just have us feeling like we was about to do something special, and we just couldn't never really make it happen.
Right. I got you. I got you. So with that being said, do you think Will Stein is the right choice for the University of Kentucky?
I'm definitely excited to see what he's gonna do with the program. I was definitely okay with that hire. The reason why I was okay with it is because what I was just saying about us not really having a top tier quarterback.
Mhm.
We had a couple of seasons where we had some good offenses. We actually, man, if you go back over the last several years, we lost a lot of games where we actually scored 30 points, man. And when you score 30 points in a football game and you lose, man, you know,
Yeah,
that's
it's pretty
that's
rough.
disheartening. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah,
Because
especially in college.
yeah, so we had a lot of those games, but one thing that Stein is known for is putting up 30. Like
Okay.
he gonna have some offenses that's gonna put up 30. And in the SEC, man, if you want to be one of those highly competitive teams, you probably gonna have to at least get 27 a game because the defenses are just so good. And he's put out some high powered offenses. Uh, and like how I was telling you that we haven't had like a 30 touchdown or a 3,000-yard passing quarterback in so many years. Um, he has produced several decent quarterbacks on the college level. Now, what they might turn out to be, once their NFL careers is over, that remains to be seen. It might not look great, but on the college level, he's done some things at that position. So, um, I'm pretty sure at some point we will have a strong quarterback.
Okay. All right. You think he's gonna bring in the quarterback this year? You think he's gonna stick with Cutter Boley? Has there been any talk about that going on or
I think if
anything
I'm
being
not,
said about who the next quarterback might be?
yeah, if I'm not mistaken, I believe he has signed a 4-star QB. Um, but I don't know what his plans are. I don't know. But he might could do some things with Cutter. You know what I'm saying? Like I said, this guy makes me feel comfortable that we will at least have a good passing attack, or just a good offense in general. And I think that's like last year, we had at one point we had a top 5 defense, and I think if we would have had an offense that they could have maintained at least a top 10 ranking for the whole entire season, but our offense was so bad that our defense ended up falling out, just because they couldn't get off the field, they couldn't get a break, and they just constantly playing snaps because we just couldn't move the ball.
Hmm. Well, so how good do you think the football team and the program is going to be under Will Stein? I know you're speaking of optimism and enthusiasm. I've been hearing those words and I've been getting those vibes from the conversation we're having. So, how good do you think UK football will be under Will Stein? Do you think he's going to be able to maintain that Mark Stoops level, or do you think he will transcend it and go above and beyond it,
Uh, man, I don't wanna jump out.
or is it too early?
Yeah, I don't wanna jump out the window because, man, he's in the SEC, and
Right,
like I said, he's not inheriting a program that has the tradition, so it's gonna be tough for him initially, I think, but the type of players that he was able to get, I think it may be easier to get some of those players now just because he's gonna just have the appeal of being able to tell them, "I'm gonna put you in the SEC." You're gonna get to
right,
play in the
yeah,
SEC. You're not gonna get to play in the best state where the weather is the greatest, but you will get to play in the SEC. So there will be a lot of attention on you if you show up. So
that's true.
I think he will have a draw. I do think he will be able to recruit really well, but I don't want to jump out the window because I sometimes, especially with the basketball team, I've been getting a little too excited over the last couple years, and I realized that I need to just chill and see things play out instead of
Right, I hear
looking
you.
at the paper. So I just want to wait because, like I said, even if he starts to recruit good, I just got to see it unfold on the field.
I got you. I got you. And so I guess my next question or the next direction I'm going in might be it's another one that might fall in a little too early phase, but the I was talking with a buddy of mine at work. He's a big UK guy. Of course, I work with a ton of UK fans and whatnot, but there's one guy I talk to quite often. And his main thing is I just want the football team to be competitive. As long as they're competitive, I'm good. And he's very excited about Will Stein coming in, and I asked him. I said, "Well, do you feel the need to be a little bit careful on the expectations that you have on him? Because if he ends up being really good, the opportunity to go to a traditional school is going to come up, and we all know that UK is not the kind of school. I mean, you've mentioned it a couple times already that doesn't have the tradition, the football tradition in the SEC. So, is that a concern that you have? That if he's that good, he'll be gone, and you'll be looking for another coach again, or do you think he might be the kind of coach because he's a Kentucky kid? Well, I say kid, I mean, he's a grown ass man, but he's from Kentucky. He's got ties to Kentucky.
Yeah,
So do you think that will play in his favor on down the road, or are you concerned that if he does too good out the gate that he'll be gone and you'll be looking for another coach again?
yeah. That's kind of difficult to answer because I could see it going either way.
Right.
Because I could see Kentucky being a stepping stone football coach. Shoot, to be honest, some of them seasons, like I said, Stoops was doing well enough where a couple of schools seemed like they was courting him.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah.
so I feel like at this point, Kentucky is kind of considered a stepping stone school. I hate to say that
Hmm.
in football.
Yeah. I'm right there with you.
But
I'm right
but
there with you.
but I do feel like he seems enthused about being able to coach at Kentucky. Uh,
Okay.
the same way Mark Pope is, like I feel like if things go well for Pope, Pope will stay here as long as he can. I don't think he would look to go anywhere else. I know it's different because Kentucky basketball is on a much higher tier than Kentucky football, so I do understand that as well.
Right.
But I feel like he Stein seems enthused enough about being back in Kentucky that maybe if he could create some super legacy at Kentucky, maybe he would stick around for that. But you just never really
Hmm.
know because, like I said, Kentucky is just a low tier football program. So if the right opportunity was to arise, who knows? But I feel like that's just something that Kentucky football is going to have to deal with no matter who they get to coach at this point.
Mhm.
Um,
Yeah, that's true. That's a
and
good point.
if something happens, then we'll just have to, search for the next guy that's trying to use us as an opportunity.
Right, right. You touched on Kentucky basketball, and before we transition to Kentucky basketball, I do want to get your opinion on Mitch Barnhart and your thoughts on Mitch Barnhart. Now, before we get too far into it, I'm not really a UK guy. I don't claim to be a part of BBN. You and I both know that very well. But I've always thought that Mitch Barnhart gets a lot of shit for his dealings, I guess, with the football and basketball programs. And in some ways, I feel like that overshadows everything he's done for the University of Kentucky. You know,
Yeah.
you got the volleyball team that's doing good right now. The baseball team has gotten better under his watch. Cheerleading's always been dominant, but they haven't lost a step while under Mitch Barnhart. So the
Women's
question I got
basketball
is
too.
basketball. I mean, yeah, women's basketball, all of them. So with that being said, do you think that Mitch Barnhart gets a lot of shit for how he's handled the football and basketball program? Do you think that it's unfair that he gets attacked because of the expectations placed on those programs? Or is it time for Mitch Barnhart to go just like it was time for Mark Stoops to go?
Man, I'm gonna be honest with you. I feel like there's truth in all the angles you can look at that. Because I feel like he has been doing some great things, so maybe he does get a little bit too much hate. But I also feel like, and this is like I said, I don't know any of these people personally, so I don't know what goes on behind the scenes, but it seemed like he does bump heads with some of the like it almost feels like some of the other programs that we mentioned, maybe they not popular enough, so maybe the coaches he don't feel um maybe like his ego is being tested as much, but I feel like
Mhm.
his
I got
relationship
you.
got funny with Calipari. It might have gotten
Mhm.
funny with Stoops a little bit. And the thing that
Mhm.
I don't like is that I feel like some of the rumors you hear are kind of like hurtful because it's like personal ego is kind of messing up the program. Like if you hear and like I said, I don't know who's telling the truth. I don't know who's lying. I don't know what's real. I don't know what's false. But like if you hear things like Calipari uh, was getting blocked from having NIL money and different things like that, and you're just like, man, like
Where's
y'all
that
messing
coming
up the
from? Yeah.
program, having a power
Mhm.
struggle, man. So I hate to hear things like that. So if that part of it is true, then he deserves some of the hate. Uh, but he also has been doing a good job with those other programs. So you can't completely knock the dude.
Right, right. Do you think he'll be around much longer? You getting got any vibes on that situation? You think he'll stick around, or you
Man,
think he's seeing his last days at Kentucky?
to be honest with you, I really don't know. I really can't get a beat on that, man, to be honest. I've heard people say that Mark Pope is probably his last hire, but who knows, man. uh,
Right, right, right. I
you
hear you.
just never can tell in these situations with some of these people.
Right, I got you there. I got you there. All right, and so on the UK basketball, and I know they got a win tonight against North Carolina Central.
Yeah.
I believe that's them. Score was like 103-67 or something like that. So it's a good win for them. Good to see them get off the snide a little bit. But has is panic setting in with you in December, or are you taking the it's still December, they got time to work through it mindset to the team? What in the world's going on with these guys, man? You got any idea what's going on? What if it can be fixed, or is the season over with?
And it's kind of hard to really say at this point. I'm gonna be honest with you.
All
On
right.
paper, on paper, when I seen this roster, I immediately thought we got some dogs. Um, I don't know if we really have an elite player, but I feel like collectively we had a bunch of solid dudes.
Mm-hmm.
Um, on paper, that's what I thought initially.
Okay.
Then we had a couple of unexpected injuries.
Mm-hmm.
Some guys aren't performing as well as I thought. So we took some tough losses early. I feel like we had a shot at Louisville and North Carolina.
Okay.
We made some mistakes. I ain't gonna say we beat ourselves because both of those, both of those teams played good. Louisville played good enough to beat us. North Carolina made some plays down the stretch. They played good enough to beat us, but I feel like we had a shot at them. Michigan State, I didn't really feel like we had a shot at them. I feel like they just outplayed us from the jump. Gonzaga pretty much did too, but it was just tough because I think Mark Pope thought that he had the high quality roster, so he scheduled them a really tough non-conference schedule,
Mhm.
and it ended up hurting us. They really needed a cupcake schedule, to be honest,
Okay.
because when we get into the SEC, man, I'm not really sure how many teams in the SEC that I could definitively say we're better than. I do
I
think
got you.
that I do think that some of the teams will have a shot at, but there's several teams that really scare me. You know what I'm saying? So I don't know how this is going to play out for real. So I'm not really panicked, but the one thing that I feel like I could say is I feel like unless we have a 100% healthy roster, I don't think we can win the championship if we even can.
Okay.
We got to first things first before we even speak about that. We got to win enough games to get in the tournament, and we already started off behind the curve.
Mhm.
So we got a lot of makeup work to do in the SEC. But the SEC has enough good teams that if we really put it together in the SEC, we can still make the tournament. Um, because technically, a lot of the schools that we lost to so far, they're not going to really be looked at as too bad of losses. Because I do feel like Louisville and North Carolina is going to end up finishing high in the ACC.
Mhm.
Your boys are probably going to win the ACC, but I feel like those two schools will be second and third
Yeah.
at the lowest fifth.
Mhm. I
I think
got you.
both of those schools will be up there. So I feel like those losses won't look as ugly at the end of the season. Michigan State, I think, is one of the best teams in the country because I think Michigan State, I actually thought they were going to beat y'all.
I did too.
They
I had
played
no
well enough.
expectation.
Just they made a few mistakes in the end. Y'all made some plays, and y'all got the victory. But I feel like they played good enough to win. So I feel like when I see you guys and them, I feel like those are two of the best teams in the country. So I feel like Kentucky's not going to have some real ugly losses so far. So if they make it up in the SEC, I think they'll be okay. But it's just going to be it's going to be a tough road to travel, man. And we
Right.
have to get Quaintance back because our defense is really bad right now. So we need somebody to at least protect the rim because I don't know if we can stop guys from getting in the lane.
Mhm.
And our team, I feel like our team's attitude is a little funny right now. They got a
Right.
lot. I think mentally they have to lock back in. Uh,
Right. So, Quaintance, how do you say his last name?
Jaden
Quaintance?
Quaintance,
Yeah, so he'll be back soon, right? I heard he's practicing with the team now, right?
he is practicing, but I don't really know when to expect him back, if to expect him back. Because
Oh,
because
okay.
he's one of the guys on the team that actually he might be the only guy on the team with pro potential. Um, so if I'm being completely honest, I could see a scenario where if things get too bad, he might just say, you know what, I'm gonna just go on and just work and get myself back healthy and just go on and pass to the league because if it gets too ugly before he gets back, it might not even be worth it for him to risk it,
Mm.
which would be
Dang.
unfortunate for us because, like I said, I don't think we can beat top tier teams without him defending the paint.
Gotcha. Alright. Man, well, that'd be interesting. I hadn't even thought about that aspect of it, about the fact of him possibly sitting out and not even coming back at all. I've just been operating under the assumption that he'd be back sometime soon, and folks kept saying December, 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 so I just been watching and waiting, but damn, that's a
Man,
good point, man. I ain't think
uh,
about that.
unfortunately, man, with the new landscape of college professional basketball with NIL and such,
Mhm.
I don't even know if they should even call it NIL anymore, to be honest, because I was under the understanding that name, image, and likeness was something totally different than what's happening. So
Yeah,
I
that's a
don't
good
even know
point.
if they should even call it that, but I feel like it's flipped the game upside down to the point where I might not have felt like a player would just choose to set out and prepare for his professional career. Where
Mhm.
and now you see it all the time. You see coaches moving around during the season. You see players
Mhm.
deciding they don't want to play in big games. Everybody's trying to protect their best interests to the point where a lot of the time the team has to make sacrifices and suffers for it. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Yeah. Yeah, the NIL definitely changed things up, and like you said, it did flip the game upside down real quick, and, it's funny you mentioned the name, image, and likeness, man. I hadn't heard anybody say that in years, and we've been operating under the NIL for years now. But yeah, it you got a good point there. You know, it doesn't seem like it's serving the purpose it's supposed to serve, but it is. It's putting money in folks' pockets, but which is ultimately the main purpose that it was going to serve. Phew, yeah, it's a good point. Try to get back on track here real quick. How much you mentioned that Pope made this schedule. Do you think some of the blame for this start falls on Pope, or do you think it falls on the players? Is it just one of those things where, like you mentioned, the players just didn't turn out to be who y'all thought they were, and
Oh
just gonna have to
man,
deal with it as it is?
it's a lot of layers to that because you know, I I'm sure you probably heard it, but there's been rumors about situations with the players. I ain't even gonna speak on it too much because I don't know if it's true, so I don't even want to put it out there if it's not.
Right,
But
I hear
there's
you.
rumors that people are not getting along, that situations might have happened, confrontations, um, which would be unfortunate because I don't know if you remember a couple years ago, Tennessee football team was ranked number one, and
Okay,
the quarterback. Uh, I think he knocked out one of the linebackers over some they was arguing over NIL money, and then the defense decided they were they were not gonna, really try hard, and then South Carolina hung like 63 on Tennessee, and this is when they was ranked number 1, and they lost, and
okay.
they basically gave up a championship behind this.
Wow. No, I didn't know that. I hadn't heard that one.
Yeah, that one year it was a couple years ago when Tennessee was going crazy, they was ranked number 1, they was killing everybody. And then they just South Carolina went bananas on them.
Okay,
And
okay.
then you find out that the defense was making a point because I think the quarterback had knocked out one of the linebackers. They was arguing over NIL money.
Mm.
Um, so when you
Kinda
see
crazy to think quarterback can knock out a linebacker, but
I nah, it is, it is. Um, but it's just crazy that, you know, when you see egos and stuff get involved and players have a chance to be like national champions and they throw it away behind that stuff. So I
mhm.
I would hate for that to be the case with Kentucky because I did think they had potential. And if you remember a couple years ago when Draymond Green had his little situation, and then it's like they had
Ooh,
they had to move somebody because it's just hard to bring the team back together after something like that happens. You know what
yeah.
I'm saying?
Ah, yeah.
'Cause and that's even when we talking about professionals, they still had to move somebody.
Yeah, you're right.
College kids, man, it's probably even more difficult. Uh,
Right, you're right.
Egos and different things like that. So it's kind of hard for me to put it all on Pope. Um, I can't like completely dismiss him from it though because you're the leader, so you always have to take some of the blame no matter what if you're the leader.
Mhm.
But I think it's a combination of all of that. I think there may be some issues with the team not getting along. There may be some of the players just not playing as well, and then the coach has to try to figure out something. You know what I mean? And
Yeah.
and I think he's struggling trying to figure out how to how to shape up some of his lineups with the injuries and he's trying to figure out should he like at one point Jalen Lowe, our point guard, they was talking about completely shutting him down for the year. And then I think
Mhm.
maybe they was like, well, we don't have any point guard without him, so let's try to see if he can play through it. So I feel like they just haven't been able to really actually gel. Um and they may not until the top of the top of next year. I mean, but
Right.
they have to start getting some kind of wins. They gotta do something regardless.
Right, I got you. I don't know how much you got to see tonight, but I know after the game they interviewed Owe Ortega, and the whole team came up like how OKC does after the. I don't know if how familiar you are with OKC, but when after the games, when they interview one player, the whole team will come over and they'll all participate in the interview. And after the game tonight, when they were interviewing Ortega, the whole team came over and they were all doing that. So if anything, it might be a step in the right direction as far as building camaraderie and bonding as a team. So I didn't know if you got a chance to see that or not, but I think anybody who had a chance to see that, who's heard the rumors and heard of the lack of chemistry in the locker room, I should say, it looked like they're going in the right direction tonight. Looked like they were all getting along. Looked like they were trending in the direction of becoming one big happy family. You know,
Yeah,
sometimes playing the cupcake and beating the shit out of them by 30 something points is just what the doctor ordered. You know, I guess
yeah.
it's one of the things we'll see and find out going forward. Do you think UK fans have a right to be frustrated, or are they just showing a lack of impatience right now? Because I'm telling you, they're getting loud. They're getting loud and they're getting louder. I know they're very displeased. And in my opinion, I feel like they have a right to be, but it just keeps popping back in my head. It's just December. And we've seen teams go through worse than what UK is going through now and still turn it around and find some success later in March. So do you
Yeah.
think UK fans have a right to be frustrated, or they just need to step back, relax, take a deep breath, woo-saw a little bit and calm down?
I think, man, when it comes to UK fans, here's the honest truth, right? UK fans are all of the things that everybody says. All of it's true. They are some of the most passionate fans. You could say they are the best fans. You know, that's subjective, but they are some of the nastiest fans. They are some of the most entitled fans. Um, all of it's true. You know what I mean?
Yes.
So I do think they have a right to feel frustrated. Um, because they put so much into it, you know what I'm saying? And when you paying players as much money as they paying, they expect some kind of result. And and
Yeah.
and the thing is, it what was frustrating about it was it just looked like the players didn't care, right? And
Yeah. Oh,
that's
yeah.
and I think that's what triggers Kentucky fans the most. Just like I felt like the reason why they were triggered with Calipari was because I feel like at the end of his time here, he was starting to look like he didn't really care as much.
Yeah.
You know, he
Yeah.
was still talking the NBA stuff, even though he knows fans was kind of frustrated with that. So I think the fans just want to see the effort. Because the fans actually love these people.
Right.
Uh, Now there are some of those fans, we're not gonna get into it, but some of those fans exist, the ones that do the stuff that they do. You know what I'm talking about?
Right.
We're not even gonna get into that.
I hear you. Oh, yeah.
I'm sure there's probably fans from all fan bases that are like that, but we definitely get called out for that a lot. Uh, but but Kentucky fans, to a degree, they do have the right to be frustrated. I'm choosing not to panic yet. I'm a hold off, but it's like if we lose to Indiana, I may go into a little bit of a panic mode.
I hear you.
If we get Indiana, then I might be like, okay, you know, maybe we can start stringing something together and we can build a little resume. Because this is what we was mad at Calipari for was we just wanted to get some tournament wins. You know what
Right.
I'm saying? Like you
Yeah.
ain't got to win this, or at least for me, I feel like I'm realistic, right? Like Kentucky's
Mm,
over 100 years old, and we got 8
right.
championships, right? So that means there's a lot of losing the championship in there with, a lot of winning as well, comparatively speaking. But
Right.
overall, you're gonna lose the tournament more times than not.
Yeah. You're
But
right.
but we want to at least look like we got a chance to get there every so often. We got to hit the Final Four. We have to at least be keeping up with the Dukes, the North Carolinas, the Kansas. We got to at least be keeping up. We
Right.
got to be
I
hitting
hear
the
you.
Final Four every so often. We got to be in the championship game so many amount of years, we have to, or it feels like we get left behind, which is what was starting to happen at the end of Tubby's career at Kentucky. So we had
Mhm.
to get Tubby out of here and then bring in Cal. And then Cal had one of the best like runs initially that probably we'll probably never see another run like that. And then it started to happen to him. Then we started looking crazy comparatively to the other schools. So we had to get him out of here. And Pope actually did better than I expected last year. So he gave the people something to look forward to. So it's like he at least has to match something close to that. He's got to. But if they don't make the tournament this year, I'm not gonna jump out the window and say fire him. I'm still gonna give
Right.
him a little bit of time. But we can't the maximum is gotta if he don't got it looking solid in 5 years, then we might have to look in another direction because we can't waste a whole decade waiting for him to figure it out. He's gotta at least get us back to Kentucky tier within the first 5 years.
I got you. I got you. So you hadn't lost faith in Pope just yet. You're gonna give him some time.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. It's still new for him too. You know what I mean? Like when you go from a school like BYU, no disrespect to BYU, but and then you get put at Kentucky, like Calipari even said, it's not for everybody, and it got to a point where it wasn't for him anymore.
Right, right,
So
right.
it's one of the most difficult jobs to handle. So it's not going to be easy initially. So I'm cool with giving him a little bit of time, but we just can't sit for too long. And I do feel like the disappointing thing so far was all of these top freshmen of this year. Because a lot of the last couple of classes, there's only been like one or two guys in each class. But this
Mhm.
year it kind of had a decent amount of guys. Like Brown from Louisville,
Yeah.
Boozer from Duke, what's DJ from BYU,
Yeah,
uh,
Deba Santa.
the
Yeah.
kid from Tennessee. We didn't get none of these guys.
Right.
Caleb William. It looked like we was gonna get him, then he flipped North Carolina. So I feel like he has to at least get Stokes for next year.
Gotcha. Okay.
He's got to start hitting some of these guys because even though collectively, I feel like he built a okay roster, but he's got to start getting some top tier guys, uh, or he's just not going to be able to compete at the level that these fans expect him to compete at. So he's got to
Right,
start
right.
hitting on some of them.
I got you. I got you. And the NIL bag is always gonna be open because we saw this is a $22 million roster. So I
Yeah,
imagine going forward, the roster is only gonna get more and more expensive and whatnot. So it's gonna be interesting to see how the fans take it. So man, we kind of hit all the questions I had remaining in a row, man. Is there anything else you want to spit out before we break on out of here? I know like I say, I know it's been a rough start for UK basketball, but I didn't know if you want to give a message to the fans or anything like that before we bounce out of here. I don't know if Aaron Rose will be watching, but if you want to holler at him real quick, then hey, now's your opportunity, real quick.
yeah, man. You know, like I said, it's rough right now, but I'm not ready to completely abandon ship. Um, I feel like you gotta still support your people even in the down times. And if we would have had never even sort of pushed Calipari out and he would have still been here, regardless of how frustrated I would have been, I would have had to rock with him. Just like I would have had to rock with Stoops if because I actually thought Stoops until I seen the reports, I thought Stoops was gonna be back next year because he was acting like he wasn't gonna leave. And
Yeah,
but Calipari was saying that too right before he left. So you never really know
right.
what's true and what's false. But I'ma always support who's here. I know right now some of the Kentucky fans that was upset about Calipari, they feel like this is their gotcha moment. I've been seeing a
True.
whole lot of that where they be like, see what I told you, or now y'all gonna listen to me. And it's like,
Hmm.
well, we get it. Like Calipari kind of looks like he might have got his stuff going on over at Arkansas right now. But at the end of the day, he was losing in the first round of the tournament in Kentucky, so they had to give somebody else a chance. And we can't go back in time, whether you think we should or not. We are where we at, and I think Pope is a good coach, and I think uh, I'm willing to stick by him and give him some more time. I do think even though I understand the fans being frustrated, I do think they need to relax a little bit and be more supportive. But I do also expect the players they gotta get an effort. Like they know where they're at. They know what they signed up for.
Mhm.
And now they're accepting money to be here. So
Right.
you gotta if you being paid to play here, you gotta you gotta show up. You gotta earn your money.
Yeah, yeah, they're gonna have to learn. Even though they getting that NIL money, they still playing for the name on the front, not necessarily the name on the back. You
Yeah.
take care of the name on the back, but you got to play for the name on the front.
Yes,
So
sir.
I'm definitely with you right there. And that's one thing. The one frustration I've heard the most from the fans is we paid $22 million for this, and so I get that completely. Especially now that we know how much these dudes are getting paid and the expectations. I know folks have talked about how it might be a lot of pressure for folks that are playing in that situation. But it's like you said, man, they know what they signed up for. And once you get that check, man, you know, the days of college amateurism is over.
It's
It's
over.
college professional sports now. And if you're gonna sign the money and take that check, then you're gonna be expected to perform and do what you expected to do, just like anybody else who's collecting a check out in this real world is.
Yes,
But
sir.
Derek, I want to thank you for coming on to the show. Ladies and gentlemen, this has been Derek Stevenson of Sports and Discourse fame. Again, UK expert. When it comes to UK, this man knows his stuff. So by all means, tune in to Derek Stevenson, Sports and Discourse.
Yes,
And
sir.
thank you all for tuning in. Derek, thanks again for coming on the show, man. You don't know how much I appreciate it. I might
Yeah,
have to
for
get you
sure.
back, man, because I don't I don't watch a whole lot of college basketball, and as college basketball starts to pick up, I'm about to get you back on here so we can talk some college basketball and see what's going on that landscape.
Yes, sir. Anytime, man. Just let me know.
Yeah, oh yeah, I will. All right, ladies and gentlemen, this has been Jason's Jules again with Derek Stevenson. Thank you all for tuning in. We are out. Peace.